Chair recognizes the clerk to read the title of Bill Number 161061.
An ordinance authorizing city officials to file articles of incorporation to establish a nonprofit corporation that shall be called the Philadelphia School Teachers Reimbursement Fund for the purpose of reimbursing personal money spent by teachers of the Philadelphia School District for the purpose of supplies, materials, and equipment needed for their classrooms.
Thank you very much. The chair recognizes the bill sponsor, Councilman David O.
Thank you very much, Chairwoman, and all members of the committee, and especially to the witnesses who had the courage to show up today. Education is among the top, if not the top issue facing this city. And every council member here has fought to improve education on a citywide basis. We have a lot of issues, whether it's the SRC and its management, or how we're handling adequately funding our schools. But one thing that has been a constant in terms of good education has been good teachers. The reason that I've introduced this bill is that I believe it reflects what we all want, and that is good teachers doing good things in each classroom. One of the problems that everyone who holds a position of responsibility has to deal with is, how do we ensure that more of a dollar is spent wisely and well? And the answer has always been there. Good-hearted people who are teachers, who have 30 kids or more in their classroom, if not an entire grade level, have raised money from their own pocket, from family and friends, or gone on social media to provide the fundamental necessary resources and tools that the school has not provided year after year. And yet we as a city and a school district have failed to recognize that in a meaningful way. What I mean is, today, I as a city council person do not know what it takes to adequately fund the schools. And if we had a reimbursement fund that would encourage teachers to submit what they already paid for, and I would say to the public, look, as a teacher who is lacking resources, if you have a heart, you're gonna go get this material out of your wages. But then, you have to go identify it, find what's affordable, pick it up, bring it to the school, and try to employ it. We need to know how much money teachers are spending so we have a better idea what it takes to adequately fund our schools. There are programs. There was a program where in Philadelphia, if a teacher spent money, they could submit for a $75 reimbursement to the school, not out of their pocket, to the school for the entire year. I take my kids out on a weekend, 4 kids, it costs me more than $75, let alone provide materials for 30 kids or more. There's a teacher who raised money and bought all the art supplies for her entire school. We need to know that. And more than anything, it's discouraging and disheartening to our teaching professionals and others when they're not even given the opportunity to submit what they have spent themselves as a way of saying this is essential material. My friend, Councilwoman Maria Quinones Sanchez, told me the story of one of her friends who's a teacher, and she put on her Christmas list, don't get me anything but what I need for my kids. Toilet paper. Can you imagine kids with no toilet paper if the teacher doesn't provide it? I am sure people don't want us to keep a list of all the things that aren't provided that need to be provided, and they oppose what we're doing today. And I would say it's important for us as an independent body of elected officials to make sure that we provide an opportunity for teachers to submit for reimbursement, have that list, see what's going on, and furthermore, to ensure that equity reaches our classroom. So with that, I really appreciate the teachers that are here and all the organizations and support, and I look forward to your testimony. Thank you, Chairwoman.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other members have any questions for this panel? Seeing none, well, oh, you haven't testified, okay. You may state your name for the record and then begin with your testimony.
Go ahead and begin then. Yeah. All right, good afternoon. My name is Leslie Grace. I teach at Nebinger Elementary. I'm the art teacher there. And I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to speak and testify on behalf of this bill. Is there a high need, a high level to reimburse teachers in Philly schools? I say without a doubt, and I can personally attest to that. For the past 4 years that I've been employed in the district, I've spent my own money to supplement the needs of my classroom. I want to ensure that my students have an equitable education to that of their counterparts in more affluent areas or districts. And to do so, I've had to grovel for funding and pay out of my own pocket. It's a sad statement to say that I've become accustomed to and used to hustling for my art room. I've used multiple forms of crowdsourced fundraising for my classroom, desperately pleading with friends, relatives, and community, and I've consistently put my own money into those efforts. On average, I spend about $3,000 a year of my earnings, whether purchasing supplies to support my curriculum, buying books to link literacy in the art room, and even providing students with food and snacks for when they have to stay after school for performances. This is a major disservice to our students and to the profession of education. Our attention should be spent more on building and refining our curriculum, growing professionally, reflecting on and assessing on student artwork, and keeping up with best practices. A doctor would not be asked to provide their own scalpels, so why are teachers expected to spend out of their pocket on supplies? In Philadelphia, this issue is further complicated by the lack of a new and fair contract. Teachers have been without a raise for about 5 years. Meanwhile, the cost of living increases, as do the interest rates. It should not be expected or accepted that teachers should be paying their wages toward classroom supplies in these or in any conditions. Currently, the PFT does provide a $100 reimbursement to teachers for classroom purchases. On top of that, there is a $250 education expense deduction teachers can claim on their taxes. Now recall back to the yearly $3,000 price tag I dish out. As you can see, the need is great and the funds to reimburse us is low. Perhaps we could make a statement and buy nothing, let our classrooms be barren, and not have the materials to teach our curriculums. But that would be passing the burden on to our students, who should not have to suffer for the shortcomings of a district or a school's budget. Why should City Council support this bill? If it's not already obvious, the students of Philadelphia deserve a fair chance, an equitable chance to have the best education. Our classrooms should not be empty. Our students should never feel at a disadvantage. Their zip code should not determine their life experiences. Please think of our students and support our teachers. Thank you, City Council, for this opportunity. I strongly urge you to support this bill to ensure the success of our city schools.
Thank you. Please state your name for the record and you may proceed with your testimony.
My name is Emily Taylor and I am a retired art educator. I want to say good afternoon to City Council and let you know that I, as a retiree, was an art teacher and teacher support specialist for art education for 39 years with the School District of Philadelphia. I want to thank you for allowing me to support and testify this bill that focuses on the Teachers Reimbursement Fund. During my career, I spent thousands of dollars for supplies to support my art program. I was provided a budget to start and build a program for 2 schools of my employment. However, I did purchase specialized materials and resources that were not available from the school district requisition office. In the 1970s, the materials I purchased were books, pencils, and paintbrushes. In the 1980s, as the years, as the years progressed, school budgets were reduced. I learned of grant opportunities to help supplement my school, my art program, and to meet the needs of my students' growing diverse population. I purchased art materials during my travels, visiting schools in Korea and Japan through funds from the grants. However, those opportunities are now limited. I did continue to personally purchase materials for my students, such as specialized paints, oil pastels, drawing pencils, watercolor paper, teachers' guides, pocket folders, prizes and gifts for students, awards, teaching posters, storage furniture, printmaking materials, yarn, scissors, materials for ceramics, to name a few. Throughout my career, I would take advantage of opportunities to compile supplies from closing businesses. When the School District of Philadelphia Requisition Department closed, I reported to that office at 5:30 in the morning to be the first in line to get supplies for my school. Needless to say, when I drove up to my school with a car full of supplies, my principal was very pleased. In the 2000s, as I started my position as teacher support specialist, I became increasingly aware of the need for monies for supplies as schools suffered from reduced funding. Schools hired art teachers with little to no funding for their programs. As schools closed, the art department quickly redistributed art supplies to be given to schools in need. Teachers conducted methods to raise funds, such as pretzel sales, to supplement their school budgets and continued to spend their own money for materials. They would quickly spend the $100 allotment provided by the district, which is available to every teacher. This is not the way to support our students and programs in our communities. There is a need for equal opportunities for teachers and schools to receive reimbursement for purchased materials outside of the school allotment. It is my hope that the proposed teacher allotment reimbursement bill is passed to provide such an opportunity because our students and teachers deserve it. I want to thank Councilman David O. for introducing this bill, and it is my hope and our hope that City Council will consider this bill and passing it to help support our students and teachers. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Councilman O, and all the council members there on board. My name is Antoinette Pollard Turner, and I'm just going to be the person that closes this up because the two previous colleagues of mine have done an excellent job in really talking about all the issues and all the problems that we are confronted with, or I should say that I was confronted with and the teachers are still confronted with in the school system in terms of providing all the things that our students need. The difference between me and these other two teachers is that I was an English teacher and I taught English in a high school. And there were always times when we needed such supplies, like maybe another set of Shakespeare books or just things to do a project that we would think and consider that we should just have it. And I would go to places like English workshops, where I would go. I went to one in Atlanta. I went to one in California. And what I did when I got there, I saw all these free books that we probably couldn't have gotten because we only could get one set for all the students. So I shipped them back on my own cost. Just think, shipping back books, sets of books from the post office to your school, which my principal is very, very happy to see. The tragedy of all this is that we don't put education high enough on the elevation of where I think it should be. Particularly because this is the 21st century and our young people need to get a good education. And to get a good education, you don't just need a good teacher standing in front of you. You need all the things that's necessary for you to be able to be successful. So things like having pencils, ink pens, things that we think that a lot of times our kids come to school with, we got to realize the kids that we are actually teaching and some of their problems, social economically, health problems, we're tackling with all these things. So this bill, when I was confronted to talk in behalf of this, I said, I'm giving a voice. I'm going to say whatever I can say. I know there's some teachers that probably can't say this for fear of retribution, but I don't fear anything at this point in my life. And I just want to say that I'm very happy that Councilman O has thought enough to take and propose a bill be passed. And I truly hope that the people that are listening here on the council really know we all have children or had children in the school systems. What do you want for your children? And thank you very much for allowing me to speak.
Thank you very much. Any questions, comments? Thank you, ladies, very much. We'll now hear from panel 2. Is Diane Waff or Barbara Bennett here?
That's good.
Welcome forward, and thank you, ladies, very much. Sure. While they are coming forward, let me note that we are submitting to the stenographer written testimony from Otis Hackney, Chief Education Officer, Mayor's Office of Education, Vivian H. Hansberry, and Bernard Trent, Philadelphia Public School Retired Employees Association, and Jennifer Woods, ESOL teacher, Philadelphia School District, and they will be added to this testimony as though they were read. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to testify? Thank you very much. Feel free to identify yourself in either order and begin your testimony. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Councilwoman Blackwell, Councilman O, and Finance Committee members. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. My name is Diane Waff. I'm Director of the Philadelphia Writing Project, and this is my colleague.
Good afternoon. My name is Samuel Reed, a teacher consultant with the Philadelphia Writing Project, and also a teacher at the U School, the school district of Philadelphia.
And thirdly, I am Barbara Barnett, a past president of the Philadelphia Association of School Retirees, and my last teaching assignment was in an English classroom at the Philadelphia High School for Creative and Performing Arts.
Thank you. Sir, what's your name again?
Samuel Reed.
R-E-E-D or R-E?
R-E-E-D.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Feel free to begin your testimony in any order.
Okay. I taught for 43 years in the school district of Philadelphia, and it is my privilege, and I want to say thank you to Councilman Blackwell and to Councilman O and the rest of the committee, Finance Committee, and I would like to say that it is a true pleasure to see this particular bill in our future, or hopefully it will be done sooner than later. And my testimony is on behalf of the Philadelphia Public School Retired Employees Association. And I have a statement from them in reference to this bill, and I do have some personal thoughts also about the bill that's before us. I want to say thank you very much for inviting us to testify. The Philadelphia public school teachers frequently use personal funds to purchase materials and supplies necessary for instruction. Sadly, the items purchased tend to be very basic, that is paper, pencils, crayons, folders, glue sticks, tissues, sanitizers, etc. In the Philadelphia public schools, the need for additional supplies is immense. This is most evident in the schools located in the economically depressed neighborhoods. Each year, our organization, the Philadelphia Public School Retired Employees Association, known as PPSREA, and the state organization, Pennsylvania Association of School Retirees, provides a small monetary educational support award grant to a teacher in the school district of Philadelphia. We supply them with a couple of $750 grants so that they can purchase supplies and things that they need, and we are happy to be able to provide that. I have to also mention that our dues are very low. We pay $15 a year, but we are an organization of 4,000 people, and you know, $15 times 4,000 members is not a lot when you consider all the other things that we must do. Past awardees taught in the following schools, and that was last year: the Bethune, Dunbar, Fidletter, Overbrook High School, and Rowan. The purpose of the award is to recognize outstanding service provided by an active employee in the Philadelphia Public Schools, despite the fact that we are retirees. Yet there are hundreds of teachers that could use this monetary support instead of using their own personal funds. The mere fact that teachers are willing to use personal funds for basic classroom supplies is a testament to their dedication to the students, but also an indictment of a system that puts them in a position that requires them to use personal funds for basic supplies. The need for the replenishment of basic supplies increases as the school year progresses. The key to mitigating, if not remediating this issue, requires an in-depth analysis of budget allocations as determined by the CFO of the School District of Philadelphia. A return to a district-wide program is needed to address this issue on a systematic level. Although principals are provided budgets for their individual schools, the funds often are not sufficient to address shortages often attributed to some communities. Parents having meager resources for school supplies makes this necessary. Thus, there should be a per school allotment, per teacher allotment, and per student allotment for funds. At one time, each teacher was entitled to a reimbursement of $100 out of the school budget to augment the purchase of supplies. That resource may have been lost to budget cuts to education that prevented teachers from receiving a contract or raises over the last few years. It's just unconscionable. If the School District of Philadelphia cannot return to a district-wide budget allocation program to address the issues of limited supplies, perhaps City Council, in collaboration with other friends and supporters of public education, can set up a program that offers awards and grants that provide teachers reimbursement on a systematic level. Clearly, this is something that is sorely needed for the teachers as well as the students. It would be an immense asset to teachers, students, and the community. The Philadelphia Public School Retired Employees Association lauds and supports the Councilman O's efforts to authorize City Council to file articles of incorporation to establish a nonprofit corporation with the name the Philadelphia Teachers Reimbursement Fund. We thank you for hearing our request and hopefully getting some action. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Questions or comments?
One more testimony.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity. On behalf of the teachers in the Philadelphia Writing Project, I'm honored to speak in support of Councilman O's bill to create a fund to reimburse teachers for money spent on school supplies for the classroom. Many teachers in the Philadelphia Writing Project network spend over $500 or more even before school starts, paying out of pocket for supplies they need to do their job, as well as creating a warm and inviting classroom environment for their students. In elementary schools in particular, this starts with creating bulletin board displays that remain vibrant throughout the year. One of our members, Andy Newell, a second grade teacher, began the year by spending over $200 buying fadeless design, bulletin board paper, decorative border trim, vinyl letters, and cut-out images to make the 4 bulletin boards in her classroom come alive to inspire student creativity and imagination. She also purchased clothespins to hang up student work and 3 boxes of Pendaflex folders, which cost $25 each, to organize weekly work centers and to file student work, as well as basic school supplies for the class. $30 for a 1,000 ream sheet box of lined paper, 3 12-pack bundles of composition books for her students, $60, file folders for each child, $10 for a box of 100, as well as pre-sharpened pencils, 144 in a box for $15. Andy also spent her money to replace the worn, tattered area rug in her classroom because there was no money in the school budget to buy a new one. Her students spend a large percentage of their time on the carpet for morning meeting, reading independently, learning vocabulary, practicing phonics, and other learning activities. The rug really helps to build community and makes her class read alouds and small group work an intimate, fun experience for her students. The rug alone costs $516. In September, her students entered a well-resourced classroom with an inviting, colorful carpet as a focal point. But in October, after the district's leveling process, Andy was transferred to another school and didn't have the heart to take down the bulletin boards or remove the supplies she purchased for her students. While she took the carpet, she had to start all over again, leaving one high-need school to take up residence in another. Unfortunately, Andy's story isn't unique. The $100 that the district currently offers as a reimbursement doesn't begin to cover the out-of-pocket costs of teachers like Andy, who spend well over $1,000 annually to stock empty supply closets, provide needed school supplies for students who often come to school without the basic necessities of notebooks, pencils, or pens. The Philadelphia Writing Project fully supports Bill 161061, and we respectfully ask the committee to vote this bill out of committee with a favorable recommendation. Thanks again for the opportunity to testify, and we are happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much.
I'm here to support the writing project.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to testify on this bill? Thank you very much. Thank you all very much. Councilwoman Blondell Reynolds Brown?
Yes, I'm certain I speak. First of all, we need to say thank you for stepping away from your desks and from your lives to come and speak about a matter that we 2,000% agree with. Philosophically, we're all at the same place when it comes to doing more and doing better for the children in the Philadelphia Public Schools. The reality for us is that we have to operate within frameworks, timeworks, and budgets. And while we can't tell the district what to do, we can only raise the appropriate level of taxes to fund the district. That brings with it constraints. Additionally, I do have some questions for the sponsor of the bill to get some more information on the record so that we can better understand what we want to step into. But we appreciate your voice, and as I said, I think I speak for all members for acknowledging the noble intent of the bill. So thank you all for standing up and showing up to speak on behalf of our city's children.
Thank you.
I do have a few points of information, Madam Chair. Is anyone here from United Way by chance to give us an update or back intelligence on the existing Education Supplies Fund? Bill sponsor, could you speak to that?
Sure. Yes, I will. Let me just get my notes here. Mayor Michael Nutter had set up a teachers reimbursement fund, which I understand did not reimburse the teachers, but the teachers could, through their individual schools or through the school district, request some type of reimbursement. And for the year 2014, through the United Way, the city provided $585,000, and this money was given to the school district $543,000. For school year 2015, $457,000 were given, and $448,000 were given to the schools. For fiscal year 2016, $563,000. These are just rounded figures.
Sure.
Were given to the United Way, and through the United Way, which held the money, but the city had the application process. They then provided to the SRC or the school district $551. After that, 2017, $21,000 were provided to the United Way, and no money was given to the school district. although money has been appropriated for 2017 and 2018. So there was a program that I believe reimbursed schools per teacher up to $75. That's my understanding. But that has been discontinued, and the money, we're not clear exactly where it is or what's happening to the money. It seems to be there, but that program is discontinued. There's no more reimbursement from the city of Philadelphia through the United Way.
And so with those question marks, it gives me cause for pause, because we don't have all of the hard answers to why those dollars collected were not distributed in the way they were initially intended. And the school district is not here either, correct?
The school district has chosen not to appear. They were certainly invited, and the Mayor's Office of Education has submitted a 2-paragraph letter basically stating that they agree with the intention, but do not believe that creating this fund is the best use of local tax revenue. I would point out that the fund that we're creating simply creates a fund. We cannot appropriate money or even get corporations to donate money unless a fund is created. And whatever program the city or the school district had in the past is not relevant, because none of that money would come to this fund. We'd have to establish this fund first in order to be able to obtain money to reimburse teachers.
Oh, okay. I'll leave it there for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Henon?
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Madam Chair. And first, I want to thank you all for coming in and testifying. As council members, we certainly see the daily challenges that our teachers and the struggles that our school district and PFT members go through on a daily basis. And with a contract that's long overdue, it's 5 years that hopefully, with the persistence of the administration and every member of City Council, that we come to a contract resolve. And I think that's the most important thing in my pursuance of how the school district and PFT can come together is we got to get this contract done. But the pause for cause, as Councilwoman duly stated. So first of all, thank you. I got off, I digressed a little bit, but thank you for being here. Thank you for what you do every single day, and I understand that. As a matter of fact, I help buy supplies for a couple of schools in my district, and I know, Councilman Dom has done tremendous work with his contributions to the school district individually. The pause for cause for me here would be, in the budget this year, in the last couple of years, you see an allocation for an education fund, 16, 17, and 18, appropriating $200,000. For me, and specifically for the education fund, to me, I think we need to take a step back and find out, we're appropriating resources for an education supplies fund, all right, which is needed. Well, we need to find out, are those supplies being purchased? Are the teachers being reimbursed? Who's not being reimbursed? What is being submitted? So it is my ask that we pause and take a step back for a second and figure out what's going on with the appropriations that we have, all right, that's in the budget, and see how it's being, if it indeed the United Way has an education supplies fund. Right? Because if they do, we got to make sure it's being used. We got to make sure it's being in coordination, not just with the school district, all right, but the actual teachers who are putting out money in their own pockets when they shouldn't have to, but they do, because educating our kids is the most important thing to them. So, I'm going to ask that the committee just take a step back for a second here, and when we go to our public meeting, hold off on it and let us do a little more research before we start creating funds, where we don't have to, but we might need to. Let's find out what we do have and the money that's being allocated and appropriated. I want to make sure that it's actually going to the fund. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Can I say something?
Certainly. Councilman O?
Thank you very much. I thank all my colleagues for their concerns. I would say, have no fear. We have known for years and years and decades, and if not more than decades, that the school district of Philadelphia does not provide fundamental supplies, typically on a basis of which neighborhood you're in. But even good neighborhoods, teachers have had to go out and purchase the materials to educate children. I got 4 kids. They're a handful on a Saturday, let alone 30 kids that you got to educate, keep their attention. You can't do it just talking. You got to have supplies, materials, resources. I would hope technology that suburban communities have, but I understand why teachers go out and buy this stuff with their own money. Call their mom and dad, their best friend, go on social media. I don't know what we need to look at. I do understand that there is a question because the administration, at least the office of the mayor's office of education, does not support this, and I don't know where the SRC is because they're not here. All I can say is I think they would be fumbling around today trying to say something about why we wouldn't vote on this and establish a fund. $500,000 is not enough. We need to put more money into this. It needs to be independent. This entity would be separate from politics. It would consist of teachers, former teachers, who would look at every request and make a decision. Is it necessary? Is it fundamental? How much, if anything, should we reimburse? I would say, let's get this out of committee. I will certainly hold it after it comes out of committee if the administration or the SRC or anybody wants to come up and talk about it some more, if somebody wants to come up with another idea. But putting it back to do more research about what we already know, I would say, will be a very discouraging message that we don't have the will to address it, and I think we do. So I hope that we will vote this out of committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? We will now conclude our public hearing part and enter our public meeting. Chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that Bill number 16106.1 be held to the call of the chair.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that Bill number 16106.1 be held at the call of the chair. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Oppose.
Thank you. The ayes have it, and so Bill number 16106.1 will be held at the call of the chair.